Tamworth, New South Wales, 2014.
Became widely distributed through drugstores. The decline of the use.
Otherwise, nothing will change. Thank you.
I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree.
I'd actually like to ask a question.
Sure.
Do you have a best case, worst case time frame on the progress of this proposal?
Well, we're introducing it next week. That doesn't mean it doesn't get voted on next week. It gets introduced to the Parliament. The next job is to bring it on for a vote, which would be early next year. It's just the way that the system works. You've got to introduce a bill formally into the Senate. I don't like it. I wish we could get the whole thing moving much more quickly. We'll bring it on for a vote in the first sittings, because we've only got 2 more sitting weeks left. We'll introduce it next week. It will then be brought on for a vote early in the new year. The Parliament resumes back in February. And then, of course, you've got to establish the regulator.
Too long.
You've got to licence growers.
Yes.
Look, if we want to have change in this area and we want to change the law so that people can get access to a drug of known quality and purity, we can either do it with the support of the Parliament, and I know many of you are working around that, as I would, faced with the situation that many of you are. But to get change through the Parliament, it is what it is, and the way we're going to do that is to have it voted on next year, start of next year, and then once we've done that, you establish the regulator. Once the regulator is established, it starts licensing growers. Well, I don't decide how quickly that happens. I'd hope next year.
I'm Dr. Bierman. I'm speaking tomorrow. I'm co-founder of the American Academy of Cannabinoid Medicine, and I agree with Dr. Resnick that physicians are ignorant. Even physicians in my community who are supportive of cannabis refer patients to me because I know what I'm talking about. And it's easy if we have the commitment to get doctors to learn something. In the state of California, for instance, they decided that doctors didn't know enough about pain management and end-of-life care. And we still don't. And I'm a pain management doctor. And they were required to have 12 Category 1 CME hours within 6 years in order to continue to be licensed in the state of California. And it seems to me that something like that makes sense. The endocannabinoid system is the largest neurotransmitter system in the human body, and even if you're a troglodyte and somehow think that cannabis is a tool of the devil, you should know something about the endocannabinoid system. And
yes.
It should be required to be put into the medical school curriculum, and I'm sure that's something that you agree on.
We need to talk tonight.
Yes, and one other thing I want to ask you is, what the hell can we do in the United States to get to the point that you're at here? I commend you at the point that you're at here.
You're further ahead than we are on this.
Not at the federal level. I mean.
Oh, well, maybe not at the federal level, but I mean, we don't have any states that have allowed cannabis for recreational purposes, and we don't have any jurisdiction that has allowed it under the authority of a doctor yet. So we're miles behind you, I reckon, on that front. I accept your point that at a national level there's obviously there needs to be movement, but Up until this debate's really got going, I mean, the issue of cannabis hasn't been discussed in the federal parliament for decades. So, no, we've got a long way to go, and part of the work of Mel and others in the parliament, and hopefully, you know, I'm continuing on from where Mel's left off, is to change that.
Keep going.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're going to alternate. Yes, so sorry.
Dr. Richard, I've got some helpful suggestions how you guys can get this probably a bit more practical. I just want to say, first of all, some things that you'll get up against, which will, Jason Woodforth, the politician in Queensland, he's the first, his mum was waiting to get access for dementia. She just died. And he's been trying to get it through the Parliament up there in Queensland. They're going to talk about it next year. Now, what we've bypassed is where the People's Mandate is going to declassify cannabis to a food, because that's what it is. It's a food, and that bypasses all the other stuff. But the thing is, the biggest educating the public. We're taking 22 medical records on the media next year. Curing cancer. Yeah, I said it, curing cancer. Well, no, keeping the symptoms down, sorry. And basically, we're going to educate the public, because the physicians, you can't police, but if you educate the public that the biggest healing power of this is in the preventative medicine, because the cancer figure is going to double by 2050. So you drink this thing now, you can make it so you can't get high or heat it, you won't get cancer by 2050. Don't wait for the problem and go to the licensed grower. The canatonic strain is in Australia, many genomes, and people are going to juice and grow it themselves. You can't stop that, but it's a food. And if you declassify it as a food, and the People's Mandate, we don't need the doctors to know. We need the people to know, and they prevent their disease before they go to the quack. Sorry, the doctors. And, sorry, I haven't had my medication. The thing is, I'll come and see you.
Sorry, can we just keep moving on? Thank you.
All right, no worries.
Rhett's right behind you, and I believe he'll have a pretty pertinent question.
Yeah, I've got a point. Our doctor's well aware of us using it with our son Cooper. Now they're fearful of speaking out. They're aware they support it. They're fearful of speaking out basically because of ramifications towards them. Higher powers at the hospital coming down on them. They're basically being sworn to secrecy. Now, not only that, I wanted to touch on what's going to happen in the meantime. Sorry, Cass, I'm asking this question to you.
We've got kids on life support medicine, and the supply is running out. Why not a moratorium on medical uses of cannabis while you fiddle around with your bills?
Can I tell you why? Because there are 300 members of parliament and I'm one person. Right?
Better get Guy Fawkes.
So there are 10 Greens who are right, you know, who are 10 or 11 now members of parliament who are from my party. There are some independents who would absolutely agree with you. But it's a democracy, and there are 300 members of parliament. Oh, well,
it's not a democracy when 80 or 90% of the population wants medical cannabis,
and you are not doing nothing about it.
You're arguing with the wrong person. You're arguing with the wrong person, right? You don't have to convince me. That's why I'm here. Right? So you're arguing with the wrong person.
A crime against humanity is what we're doing here. Right? Nothing less.
No, look, I understand why you feel passionate about it. Absolutely, and that's why I'm here. So
my last question is potentially it's all well for the New South Wales Premier to say that police are going to turn a blind eye up here in New South Wales, but what happens to the parents who, like ourselves, are giving it to our children, our family members? What happens to them in the future if they receive a knock on the door from the police?
That's why we need a change to the laws nationally. It's why we've got to have federal laws, and it's why we've got to have a law that says we're going to give people exactly what we know in terms of concentration, purity, and so on. So, I mean, and I know your story. We've spoken before. you're the reason that I've taken the issue on. People like you and Dan and others it shouldn't be like that. It just should not be like that. And the responsibility for us is to change the law, and I'm here to try and help change it. Okay, so I know many people here are angry, and I understand why you're angry, but focus your anger, right? Focus your anger on those people who are in the way of this. Focus your anger on the members of Parliament who are supposed to be representing you, and speak to them and get them behind changes to the law. Because it's not going to... We're not going to get anywhere if we start fighting with each other on this, okay? So just let's be clear about who the enemy is, and let's make sure we...
We've already had many opportunities to speak, all right? And we're moving over here and we're having our...
This gentleman has more cannabinoids on board.
G'day, Richard.
Yeah.
My name's Don, Medicinal Cannabis. I'm a carer for about 350 people in Australia with cancer and multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, Parkinson. There's about 250 customer experiences for that evidence you're looking for on my Facebook, including the week before last where an oncologist was puzzled because they couldn't find cancer in my customer's body. And unfortunately, not one person from the government has bothered talking with me. Not one person.
It's why it's got to be taken out of the hands of politicians.
There's so much I can add.
Yeah.
So much I can add. The things that you're mentioning regarding the strains, it's already been done. We're using the right strains, the medical strains, we're importing them. We're doing this already. Because people can't wait till next year. And I really wish that the government would speak to people like me where we can add value to this conversation that we're all deeply concerned about. Thank you.
So we've only got time for one more question. Mr. Lewis remains quite patiently.
I'm bad news.
Right. Your attitude about changing the law sounds rather utopian, because it is a fool, as one of the previous people said, and to want evidence for purity and effectiveness and quality is utopian. We want progress, not perfection. It is a food, and it has been a food for 10,000, 100,000 and maybe more years, and used as medicine as well. So to regulate it as a medicine and ensure quality, it's against everything that we heard today, because it is individually different from individual to individual and from crop to crop. The plant is different from crop to crop, and it's just nonsense to regulate the growing, the distribution, the quality. It is individual, and to try a law like that is just futile.
So just on that, no government, and this is not my view, I'm just putting forward the position of people in Parliament at the moment. It's not my view, it's the view of people in Parliament.